Please help support the channel by visiting our Amazon store, affiliate link below. Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo, this is the Mundane Matt channel, and you know, over the course of the past month, Hollywood has been embroiled in one controversy after another, and I don't see it slowing down at all. And yes, I will be talking about a lot of it going forward, because it's interesting. I want to see what's going to be said. I want to see how it's going to be responded to. And I want to see, in many cases, how it will be treated by those in the media in and around Hollywood, depending on who's the person being accused, which is why I'm going to be talking about George Takei once again. Now, yesterday I talked about him denying the allegations made against him, and of course there being a bit of a defense set up by people also in the liberal media that are like, well, it was only one person that came forward, so clearly it's a weak sauce case. I mean, it's just, no. And it's one of those moments where you just kind of have to stop, and even in traditional George Takei fashion, go, oh my, like, what kind of response is that to where, oh, there's an allegation made, especially from the listen and believe crowd that are trying to deflect it because it was only one person. I mean, equality means nothing depending on what political narrative you find yourself on and who's on the other side flipping the allegations. That's just the truth of it here, folks. That's just where we are now. It's super unfortunate that due process has become a conservative talking point. It's super unfortunate that people don't care anymore about trying to follow the letter of the law, or at least use the law in order to get justice, but would rather instead smear through social media. But with that being said, and going back to Takei here, Takei kind of pulled a little bit of a Kevin Spacey with some now deleted tweets that have surfaced, and they're insane. They're just insane here. This is from his Twitter. Like I said, it was deleted, but this is what he actually said. It says, a friend of mine sent me this. It's a chart of what Russian bots have been doing to amplify stories containing allegations against me. It's clear they want to cow me into silence, but do not fear, friends. I won't succumb to that. Now, what he's showing here is dashboard.securingdemocracy.org, which is the Hamilton 68 page here. It's tracking Russian influence operations on Twitter, and it's showing a bunch of different things. Like right now, the top Keurig, boycott Keurig is currently being pushed the most through this particular dashboard. Now, coming over here to their About section, just to give you an idea of what it is, it says the dashboard is designed to shed light on Russian propaganda efforts on Twitter in near real time. There are two components to the dashboard featured here. The first section is overall overt promotion of content, highlights trending content from Twitter accounts for media outlets known to be controlled by the Russian government, hence why up here it shows RT. RT is Russia Today. That is straight up Russian-controlled media. And yeah, I do use it as a source from time to time because they are pretty up-to-date on a bunch of stuff. Just because something is state-controlled, it doesn't mean that everything there is inherently false or propaganda masquerading as truth. That is something that does require a little bit more looking into depending on the subject matter, which is why the stories I choose from them tend to be ones that I can find elsewhere. I just happen to think that they put together a pretty decent summary, and that's what I use. So just to be completely transparent there. It says here also that the second section is content tweeted by bots and trolls, highlights themes being pushed by Twitter accounts linked to Russian influence campaigns. This can include both real and fake news content that supports the story that Vladimir Putin wants to tell, a depiction of the West as corrupt, chaotic, and collapsing. The network encourages extremism and anti-government sentiment, boosts Russia allies like Iran and Syria, and tries to discredit Western media sources. The dashboard shows themes that are being promoted by the network and where the network directs its attack. The dashboard does not assert that all people publishing hashtags, websites, and links appearing in monitoring are colluding with Russia to influence audiences. The Russia Influence Network amplifies many third-party hashtags, websites, and links because these stories suit Russia's narratives and resulting influence objectives. And this, even to go back here to what's trending right now, the boycott Keurig thing, which is actually going to be my next video. That is the big one of the day, and that is, just for those of you who don't know, it's people online calling for boycotting of Keurig because they pulled ads from Sean Hannity based upon Sean Hannity's comments and some might argue a dismissal over the allegations made against Senate candidate Roy Moore out of Alabama. And that is something worth looking into as well. So you can see here trending topics, Keurig, everything is just like, it's just dominating everything today, which is one of the reasons why it's up here. So anyway, going back over to the Takei tweets here, because he goes on to further say, by the way, background, when I criticized Putin's anti-LGBT policies publicly, Russian bots attacked my Facebook page relentlessly, and we had to develop a special security measures and ban all traffic from within the Russian Federation and the Ukraine. I'm accustomed to their practices. Note that I don't blame Russia for this story. I do think it's possible they are taking it and amplifying it because it serves their purposes. Which, I mean, I guess to be fair, that doesn't come across as a crazy analysis of what could potentially be happening, right? I'm not saying that the allegation, he isn't saying here essentially the allegations against him are false. He's not necessarily denying them, but he's saying that they are being amplified to serve or amplified in order to serve Russia's purpose to further discredit George Takei, who is considered, a very big ally in the LGBT movement, given the fact that he himself is homosexual, also very much being an outspoken progressive on social media, so on and so forth. My question, though, with this particular thing has a lot to do probably with who posted these tweets. Because I don't know if it was Takei himself. Now, Takei got popular kind of in the early days of memes and becoming a thing online, because his account would keep sharing them and keep sharing them and keep sharing them, and they were usually pretty good on hot topic issues, and they were easily shareable, and it was a big thing. It was one of the first big things like that, and that was one of the things that really boosted his profile. Then, of course, we learned down the road that he had staff. There would be people who would be writing some of these memes, creating them, writing the tweets that would go viral, writing the posts that would go viral. So it does make me question whether or not, if any of that had something to do with this, because it feels to me like that might have been something that was put up there by a staffer and then was taken down because of the implications of what was said. I mean, because it's basically essentially saying here that, Russians are helping influence this story by spreading it around, but then going over here and going like, well, I don't blame them for the story, but I blame them for amplifying the story. Not saying Russians outed me, but that they're helping kind of spur this whole thing along. And I get what he's saying. If it's really him who's saying it, I get it. But why delete the tweets? When you delete a tweet like that, even if it's something that sounds ridiculous but not completely out of the question, right? In essence, it does make it seem like you were speaking out of your ass and then you got caught and you wanted to delete it. And that is just really where we find ourselves right now with this particular story. When I jokingly said earlier that he pulled a Kevin Spacey, it was more or less referring to, it feels like, at least from that first tweet, that he's trying to imply that Russians, are the reason why this story is going everywhere and the reason why this story is such a hot topic issue, and then now he's just peacefully living his life as a gay man. If anything, he kind of Kevin Spacey before Kevin Spacey'd Kevin Spacey. The point there is this situation is one that does require people to, again, seek due process and seek out the truth. I don't know if nearly a 40-year-old story can even be remotely corroborated. I don't know if the allegations made against him for roofing that man and groping that man can be even remotely established, or if we can even ever get to the bottom of it, because it does become a he said scenario. And that is where we currently find ourselves right now. I just find it funny that you have this level of deflection that's like, well, I mean, the stories against me aren't true, but really the problem here is Russia. The problem here is that Russia is possibly influencing this. Now, if Hamilton 68 is to be believed, and those are sources coming from known Russian-controlled bots and Russian-controlled news sources, then yeah, that is in fact the problem, because a third party, or you could say an outside country, is doing what it can to influence people in America getting this information. However, this has nothing to do with a political candidate, everything to do with, an activist, if you will. And it's not going to have any impact on an election or any impact on anything like that. So, I mean, I guess you could say the implications here are nowhere near as massive as they are in this particular, Trump-Russia collusion connection that we have investigated right now. So you're not going to see anything similar. I just find it to be interesting. I just find it, why delete it? I'm still kind of stuck on that. Like, why delete it? The argument isn't without some, interest, right? It appears, if that is to be believed, that then, yeah, it's possible that, outside parties are amplifying a story in order to further discredit him. And that could be a reality. But why delete it? Is it just because it sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud? Because it is one of those times where, you're just like, well, the allegations against me are false, but really it's Russia, and also that could be used against him heavily by conservative media that might be trying to further discredit Takei, depending on whatever else he might say, because there has been some tweets of his in the past talking about victims of sexual harassment and sexual assault coming forward, him speaking out in support of that. And then, of course, not too long later, having these allegations made against him, it puts you in a bit of a bind when those previous statements are made against him. Like I said before, the best course of action here is to ask for an investigation to see whether or not Scott R. Brunton actually wrote anything down, or if he told friends I think he did tell friends at the time, and those friends came forward as well. But what are you going to do? At this point, it boils down to just simply, what is anyone going to do? And truth be told, nothing will happen from this. It's one of those stories where it's like, it's not going to have the ending anyone wants, because there's no way to get an ending. What are you going to do? Run him off of social media? He's 80 years old. He'll be fine. He's got money. He'll be fine. There's nothing that can be done here that would, I think, directly impact Takei. And all Takei has to do is just keep denying it until he dies, and then that's where the story ends. So this is one of those situations where nothing can happen. And yet we're all sitting here still discussing it, which, if you think about it, is just kind of a real big, I don't want to say this. It feels like 2017 in a nutshell, right? There's all this crap we have absolutely no control over. We have absolutely no way of looking into or investigating in some aspects, but yet we're all talking about it nonstop, 24/7. Man, somebody somewhere must be looking at us and just laughing heavily, because we're all a bunch of freaking dumbasses. Hey guys, that wraps up this video. If you'd like to leave a comment, please do so below. I love to read your guys' input. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It really does help me in the YouTube algorithm. If you want to support the channel, there's the Amazon affiliate store, there's PayPal, there's Patreon, there's Bitcoin. And if you're bored and you want something else to watch, check out 3 Buck Theater up here. My name is Matt Jarbo. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a wonderful day. Peace out.